what are some of the textual proofs for following qualified scholarship? One of the textual proofs, Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people qualified if indeed you do not know the answer to a particular issue. So this is an order, a command from our Lord. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask those who are qualified if indeed you do not know. So this is a proof. Another proof, فَلَوْلَا نَفَرَ مِنْ كُلِّ فِرْقَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ طَائِفَةٌ لِيَتَفَقَّهُوا فِي الدِّينِ وَلِيُنذِرُوا قَوْمَهُمْ إِذَا رَجَعُوا إِلَيْهِمْ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَحْذَرُونَ. So every group that goes forth for jihad, let a party remain behind to gain a deeper understanding of the religion, in order that they warned the others when they return to them. So here, Allah Ta'ala is urging the creation of a group of specialists who have a deeper understanding of the religion, who can then guide and warn those who don't have the circumstances which allow them to specialize, because they have to go forth for the jihad. So this is another textual proof for following qualified scholarship. And this is what the term blind following is, an insulting term not befitting the mujtahidun. So if you're following as Shafi'i, Ahmed, Abu Hanifa, Malik, as their opinions have been checked and rechecked by successive generations of scholars, that's not blind following. That's following qualified scholarship. Blind following is us randomly following each other. That's the blind leading the blind. But a blind person walking randomly by himself or herself, that's blind following. A blind person being led by a trained seeing eye dog, or a blind person holding the hand of a person with perfect vision. Is that person blindly moving along? That person is moving along based on someone or something qualified to lead them in their absence of eyesight. So in our absence of the tools necessary to be ourselves mujtahidun, we're following those who are qualified, who possess the tools, such as that human being that possesses the eyes, or that dog that possesses the eyes and has been trained to stop at certain points, like at curbsides, etc. That is not blindly following. So that's a pejorative term that one should avoid. A third rational reason, those are textual reasons. Naam Sidi. Naam, we did before you came. Taqleed, following the ruling of someone without knowing their proofs, is what taqleed is defined as. It's a modern term. It's not even a classical. Taqleed al-ama. Literally, it's a literal Arab translation of the English term. It's not even a term that is originated in Arabic. You don't find in any books in classical text, you don't find this term. Ibn Taymiyyah doesn't use this term. Ibn Qayyim Jawziyah, they don't use at-taqleed al-ama. It's a modern term that really, and Sunday we were talking about this in a class called Fall and Rise of the Ummah, where a lot of modern day reformist thinkers are literally parroting the ideas of Orientalists. And I would argue this is a case of that, where Orientalists in their critiques of why the Muslim is stagnating, because we never had a Reformation and we don't have a Protestant work ethic. And then so people such as Muhammad Abdul, Rashid Rida, Jamaluddin al-Afghani began to regurgitate these terms in Arabic and introduce them into the conceptual and analytical vocabulary of the Muslims. And I would argue this term is an example of that. Wallahu a'lam wal musta'an. In any case, Allah knows best and His help is sought. Human civilization is based on the evolution of specialists, right? When you study in world civilizations, at what point did that break occur which allowed for the gradual accumulation of specialized knowledge? When animal husbandry and farming developed to such an extent that some could grow more food than they needed themselves, so they were then able to sell the surplus, which freed up others to pursue other endeavors, such as scholarship and trades and crafts. And so this became the basis for the flowering of human civilization, the evolution of specialists. So similarly, if we were all charged with each and every individual becoming a mujtahid in his or her own right, that would be a lifelong pursuit that would stagnate the evolution of Muslim society, because no one would have time for anything else. To memorize all of the requisite hadith, which scholars dispute between 200,000 and 300,000 hadith. To memorize the Quran, and in the definition of some, all of the legislatively relevant verses in the Quran, the tafsir of all of those verses, their exegesis, opinions of the Sahaba, the opinions of the companions, all four of the schools of thought, because a mujtahid has to be conversant with all of them, because he or she is giving rulings in an array of issues that might not necessarily be dealt with in their individual school. To be conversant with Arabic language to the highest level, so the nahu and sarf, balagha, adab, not just those foundational literary sciences, but also the literature, so that those theoretical sciences are seasoned by being steeped in the literature and poetry of the Arabs, including the Jahili poetry, which in and of itself, because of the depth of the vocabulary, is a lifelong study. So the mujtahid gaining and maintaining those tools would be a lifelong pursuit, which would not allow for the person to do anything else. So that would be a tremendous hardship for the ummah, because no one would have time to become doctors. And as we mentioned last week, it's fard kifaya that some people are doctor, that some people are sanitation engineers, that some people are specialists in military technology, and all the other things a strong and viable society needs. So those things are fard kifaya, but no one would have time for any of that, because everyone would be burdened with learning, mastering the tools necessary to derive themselves rulings directly from the sources of Islam. So human society, or as amongst the Muslims, would stagnate. So those are three reasons, two textual and one rational, for, or the incumbency rather, of following qualified scholarship. And at the end of the day, everyone is muqallid. The question is, who are you following? So for example, some person, and we're not trying to engage in a polemic against the Salafis, we're just making a point. May Allah guide us and them. Because none of us assumes that we know everything, or that what we do advocate is infallible. But just making a point, many of the people that claim to be Salafis, if you ask them, well, why do you mash your feet against the feet of the other guy in prayer? What's your dalil? How many would be able to give you the hadith that justifies that practice and the proof of those who argue against it? Because for your position to be based on knowledge, you have to know both. What are your proofs and what are the proofs of the people that argue against that? Or why do you return your hands to qabd after rising from ruku'? What's your dalil for that? And is in fact your dalil stronger than the dalil of those who argue to return the hands to the side after rising from ruku'? Allahu Akbar. And not returning the hands here. And in fact, to return the hands is narrated by Imam Ahmad and Imam Bukhari. to leave the hands up is only related by Imam Ahmed, not by Imam al-Bukhari.